There are a number of recent and forthcoming developments in the housing market that we expect to have an impact on the private rented sector. The rather surprising result of the recent general election has unexpectedly given the Conservative Party a majority government, and we welcome Greg Clark as the new Secretary of State for Communities and Local Government. The government majority in Parliament means that the manifesto policies that could have been removed or watered down through potential coalition negotiations are now much more likely to be enacted. The housing bill in the Queen's speech included a commitment to extending right to buy to housing association tenants. It's fair to say that this policy has generated a lot of comment about its impact on the affordability of housing in the private rented sector, with many commentators claiming that it will reduce the availability of affordable rental stock even further. To counter this, the government has vowed to replace rental homes lost through this policy by building one house for each one sold. This may also include forcing councils to sell off their most valuable social housing properties to fund building on brownfield sites. Another government-backed scheme is the Build to Rent Fund. £1 billion has been allocated to help finance large-scale private rented sector developments with the aim of building up to 10,000 new homes. Developers can bid for funds, and bidding is open on a continuous basis until all funds are allocated. Then, once the scheme is fully let, the developer will sell on their interest or refinance in order to repay the investment. Government is hoping that this will go some way to meet the rising demand for rental properties by adding more capacity to the market. As part of their efforts to control immigration, the government has indicated their intent to roll out nationally the Landlord Right to Rent Checks programme, currently being trialled in the West Midlands. Landlords who let to someone who doesn't have the right to be in the country may receive a fine of up to £3,000. As part of this extension, we expect that landlords with multiple occupancy homes will be required to sign up to a mandatory licensing scheme to help monitor performance of the checks. You can find out more about the existing trial by reading about it on the DPS blog. In a bid to increase transparency in the private rented sector and make it easier for tenants to understand how much moving house will cost them, letting agents are now required to publish fees up front. Fees should always include VAT and should be listed on an agency's website and displayed prominently in agencies' branches. A change to the Consumer Rights Act means that as of the 27th of May this year, anyone who does not comply with the new rules will face a fine. The Queen's speech also included a pledge to reduce the total household benefits cap to £23,000, which may make it harder for some low-income families to afford rent in areas where housing costs are high. Also planned is the removal of automatic entitlement to housing support for 18 to 21-year-olds, which may make it more difficult for some young people to leave the family home. With Parliament only just reconvened, it's early days yet for many of these policies, so keep an eye on our blog for future updates as these topics develop.